Hey folks, it's Steve Wilmes and Matt Kita, and we're back with
Buddy.
another episode of the Risk Control Show. I can't believe it. It's already July, Matt. It's already July.
And wouldn't be able to tell except that I'm sitting in the middle of this heat wave. So yeah, we are solidly in July, but otherwise I wouldn't have known. Time has
Oh,
flown by.
oh my gosh. It's flown by. We got a great episode today. We're going to be talking about trust. But just so you know, we've been really busy, and that's why we haven't been on the screen, but we're trying to get back to it, make sure that we are putting information out there for you. My daughter recently graduated high school. I took her on a little European vacation, and there's a heat wave in Rome as well. So this heat is
Right.
killing me. I'm ready for a break already. Love the summer.
Yep.
So,
Oh, me too. Me too. My favorite season every year, even when it's hot. But I know I'm not typical. Most of the people I know are just waiting for it to get cooler.
yeah, go play in the beach
Yeah.
water. You know.
Exactly.
Well, we're talking about creating trust and why trust breaks down in agency. And I recently had to go visit a client on a very serious complaint. Actually, I don't want to give too much away because the don't want it to come out like who it is or whatever, but because I got
Right.
to be careful. But this concept keeps running through. I've seen it time and time again, and it's one where you, like in this particular example, a legal complaint was filed and has to be resolved. And then when I got to the site to pick up keys and this kind of stuff, the person that filed the complaint actually worked for the agency and was very proud to tell me that he was the person that filed the complaint. And I, I listened, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, what is the breakdown here that you have to go outside of your own agency and file with another agency in order to get this looked at or taken
Mhm.
care of, right? Like what
Right.
what brings you to that point? And that's the breakdown of trust. And so, it begs the question because there's certain agencies that we work with, Matt, that we see this all the time. It's like
Yes.
what is going on internally that you don't have the trust that someone mentions something that you can handle it, take care of it, go look at it, at least be transparent enough to give them information. I mean, it's
Right.
just so silly.
Right.
And you're thinking,
Right.
what a waste of resources in a lot of areas, time, money, effort. There's so many of these things that could have been spent on other issues. So I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, I'm sure you have, Matt,
I
but
have. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I have. I have. There's a time recently when we were doing inspections for one of our clients and we uncovered an unsafe condition on a vehicle and
Oh,
we
really
started.
unsafe. Like
Yeah.
bald like a bowling ball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was where we were afraid that if someone were to hop into this vehicle and drive down the street, they may not make it to the end of the street. It was that bad, and we brought this up with the primary operator for
Right.
that vehicle, and this person, he said that he reported it several times
Over
over
like six
what, like a
months.
yeah, over like 6 months, and it hadn't been addressed, and now, so we ended up having a conversation with the client and stressed how important it was, and it was addressed, and which is great. It's fantastic that our client was responsive and addressed that. But again, getting back to what Steve was talking about, why why did it take a conversation from us, the safety expert, to get that to happen? So why wasn't that concern addressed? And there could be, that's one where now I'm thinking the operator, the next time it happens, he may not want to go to his supervisor because he's going to see it as a waste of time. He's not even going to bring it up if another tire goes bald on that vehicle.
Yeah, well, and that right there is a very good question to ask. And if you're a risk manager and you're dealing with employees and supervisors and you're hearing these types of complaints, you really need to stop and think. Like, as a risk manager, it's not just about always solving the immediate issue. You have to give the concern or the issue itself a deeper thought and ask yourself,
Yes.
why does this even exist? Right? Like, you want to get to the point that you're the Maytag man, where you can just sit on the
Right.
old washer and dryer and do nothing because everything's working like it's supposed to be. And I remember telling a boss of mine a long time ago, Matt, like, I just want to be the Maytag man. And he's like, like I'm trying to be lazy. I'm not trying to be lazy. I'm saying that we built such a great program, such a great agency, that everything flows and operates like it
Right.
should. That's what we're trying to achieve. So you're right,
Right.
because I'll give you another example of this trust. So a lot of times with our clients, we go out, we do a lot of training, we see things, and I don't necessarily need to. I'm already on the second deep dive level, right? I'm 2 and 3
Right.
levels down into what's going on here. I remember going out to a client and doing training, and now this particular client, the way it was handled at the end of the day, they see me as issue, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah. You're the thorn in the side.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
training. During the training, there was a lot of back and forth chit chat and chatter and talk, and some of it was off color and kind of beyond what I thought was appropriate. Like, the guys are always teasing each other, and you need to build that level
Yes.
of trust too, to know that they're not so sensitive that they're not going to help you in a real life threatening situation. So there's some poignancy to that as well. But in this case, it was a little beyond over the line. I had this with a police department that we trained too, and so I went back to our primary client, right? So an insurance. I said, hey, you know what? During the training, I just feel like your person on the ground may want to offer some sensitivity training or harassment. I think it's important that we do this so that they can understand. I don't want to finger anybody. It's not that serious. Like, no, let's just push it
Right.
and get this deeper issue resolved, right? And so the person that took it was so ready just to get somebody, and so that trust is gone. Like, they burnt that trust. And so what happens? They bring the supervisor in, this guy in. It's a big nightmare. It's like, it was very easy to resolve the greater issue here, which is some diversity training, sensitivity training.
Yeah. Just do some training,
some awareness, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm there for 1 hour. I have to teach this class. I can't teach the other stuff. I can mention it. I did mention some things around it, but what are you going to do? So same thing here is with the bald tires. I was thinking about that too. Like, okay, what is the issue? The issue is still that the tires are bald and it's a safety risk. Whether I say it is a safety risk or your driver says it's a safety risk, it's the same risk.
Yeah.
So why don't you believe them? And that's the deeper question. Why don't you believe your person?
Yeah, and exactly. I think that's a thing there that we need to address. Is that, okay, does it come down to a trust issue, like you don't believe them? Or does it come down to there's just so much on your plate that you don't get to whatever this concern is? Like, it's a priority, but you have other priorities. Maybe you don't put the proper priority on it. And that comes back to the trust side too. Maybe you're not putting enough emphasis in it, because you have a trust issue with that particular employer, that particular group that the employee works for, or maybe you have past experience with that type of vehicle and you don't believe that it is serious. There could be a bunch of different reasons, but the point is that it's not being addressed.
Right.
And if you see something get to that point where it needs to be addressed, then it's beyond the point of, oh, maybe we can do it, maybe we can't. It has to be addressed. It should have been addressed already. Then you really need to do an AIR, an after action review, right? And look at that. Okay, how did it get to this point?
Right.
And also understand that you probably did break a level of trust with your people with that, and you will want to address that. Do a mea culpa. Go to them, say, hey, you know what, I saw, I was aware of this and I didn't take care of it in a proper time frame, and I apologize. We will address how we handle this in the future so that you are all properly protected. If your people feel that they are safe working in the workplace because they know that you have their back, that you're taking care of them, they will come to you.
Yeah, they will,
with the issues that they find, but they won't if they don't think if you're going to do anything.
Right. So back to this complaint that was filed. Go up there, thing. I put down all the information. Right. I have the conversation. Say, yeah, this is just the way it is. It is what it is. I'm calling it like I see it, and I'm a professional. I'm highly trained in this area. This guy's calling it right. It's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing we did on the bald tires. We drugged the supervisor over, said, why is this not fixed? Right in front of the employee. Yeah. And then they said, oh, money, this, that. And okay. So then we said, well, can't operate the vehicle till it's fixed.
Yeah, right. Right.
And then how long have you known about it? So right there, we're starting to repair the trust between the supervisor and the team, but also the trust us as a third party. Supervisor,
yes,
call it. The employee knows we're going to call it. The employee knows that we're not taking sides. Right, our interest is always protecting our agency at the end of the day, but that protection of the agency is also making sure that, well, number one, you don't have an auto liability claim because you slammed into somebody. Number two, you don't have a work comp claim because the guy gets injured in the vehicle or he dies.
Yep.
Right. So, we had that with the trailers in Arizona. We sat there and said, you need to do your vehicle inspection, you need this. The safety manager is screaming at the guys like, make sure you're doing these things, repair it, fix it. And then here the guy goes and he goes to his supervisor and he says, hey, this tire looks a little bald. Supervisor's like, it'll be fine.
Right.
And so
exactly.
400 miles into his trip, the tire blows, it catches fire. He's in the middle of the desert. And now it's a big waste of time and money. He could have just fixed it right there. And so, you're looking at these shortcuts. And again, I got one on a microwave back when I worked in Omaha. Lady's sitting in a cubicle. She's got concerns about the microwave. And she's speaking to her supervisor. It could have been fixed easy. Hey, we can move the microwave. We can buy a new microwave. Well, goes to OSHA because nothing's ever done. So now the microwave has to be pulled out completely, tested for leakage, all this kind of stuff to answer this OSHA complaint. And now nobody's got a microwave, right?
Yep.
So it could have been a simple fix. But instead of taking the time to explain and transparency, one of the biggest ones I saw, Matt, working at a school district in the South Bay area. And I came in, been there about 6 months. And, I usually tell people, this is part of how we build trust. So we'll come back to this. But, Domino's with Domino's. Get a set of Domino's, buy some Domino's pizza, talk to your people, play Domino's with them, whatever, at lunchtime. Like, get out there, and it doesn't have to be. But I say it's my little catchphrase, Domino's with Domino's. And you're interacting with the people. You're just being friendly, getting to know them. Take 6 months. and spend time getting to know them. So during this time, they tell me a little thing, right? They tell me a little thing, I address it. Another little thing, I address it. Another little thing, I address it. So about a year into this, they're like, hey, we got this really big concern. We've been talking about it for 10 years. 10 years? Nothing's
Oh,
done?
okay.
I'm like, wow. They're like, the air in our office isn't.
Oh,
Like, there's a
wow.
problem.
Okay.
And so I call in assistant to director of maintenance. What's going on here? I tell the people, I'll look into it. So
Right.
I call him out, and he's, well, years back we had some breach and some water and some this and some that. And I'm like, well, is it fixed? Oh no.
Ooh.
Okay. So I'm like, all right, I call out our CIH. Get up there and do the full investigation, man. I want to know. Like, I want you to
Mm,
do grab samples in the space. I want to know. Yeah, so we go up there. There's rat droppings, there's bird droppings, there's all kinds of crap, water and moisture and mold and this and that.
of
Well,
course.
hell, of course the air is not bad. People know it. I mean, not good.
Yeah.
People
It's
know
not
it,
good.
right?
Yeah.
So you're dragging all this through, and even the M&O guys know it. So why didn't you fix it? Why don't you address it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So because I addressed it, it bought me a lot of credibility. And from that point forward, when the union came with issues, as soon as I sat down to talk with the union rep, they knew it was handled. Why? Because I'm not taking sides. Like, I'm always on the side of the district or
Of
the
course.
agency, trying to
Right.
protect their interest, but I'm not taking sides just to, you know, pick a
Yeah.
side and stick with it to do the wrong thing. No, we're trying to
Right.
do the right thing. That means that we are looking at the interest long term, the deeper level. Right, Matt?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's about, it's just, again, this is part of creating that trust. And when you do a job like that, Steve, and you actually create that solution, then it also reflects on management allowing you to do that,
Right.
listening to you. They're going to
Right.
get credit for that as well. And that contributes again to that trust. Now, of course, in that specific situation, I'm not sure how much it gained them that they'd been talking about it for 10 years and nothing was addressed and it was as serious as it was. But in many other situations where maybe it's not such a big thing, but it's something that came from you and management, the M&O facility supervisor, the risk manager on site, that they addressed it immediately. Employees are going to know that.
Right.
They're going to see that.
Right.
That will increase that measure of respect and desire to report other issues, like you mentioned, Steve, when you were at that particular district in the South Bay. You fix a little thing here, you fix a little thing there, you fix a little thing there, and that built up that trust to go to you.
Right.
Well, the client can do that too with their own people, and they should be
Yeah,
doing
of
that
course.
with their own people. It's like, hey, we don't need a safety expert to come in and tell us this. We understand.
Right.
Does it
Right.
help if a safety expert comes in and points out? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Well, sometimes you need a third set of, often you need a third set of eyes to look for things, because you walk by them and you see them all day and they don't
right,
register, and you are busy and you are this. And again, where we really have a benefit, or a leg up, is we don't just look at the same district or the same agency. We look at 300 of them. So we're seeing
right,
lots and lots and lots of things, and we can take our knowledge and expertise to the next agency, and how do we
right.
address that and things like this. Yeah, it reminds me. We just went out to see a client on some ergonomic evaluations, and we also do some fall protection safety monitoring for them. And they asked how that project went, because I was on vacation, he was on vacation, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And he said, we just love having you come out to do it, because our internal folks don't have that level of presence or neutrality to say, sorry, vendor or contractor, you can't come on the job because you don't have the right boots. And we had to throw a guy
Right.
off because he didn't, we're working around some serious high voltage. He's got tennis shoes on,
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So no safety toe, no EH rating, no this, no that. So we threw
Wow.
him off. Well, that increases the cost because of the time. Now the other guy's
Mhm.
got to pick up the slack and everything else. And I like the guy. He just didn't put it together that day that he needed
Right.
to have that piece of equipment. So, we also have him cut up old fall protection harnesses and get new ones that day. It's
Mhm.
like, did you do the inspection? So, now they're seeing, oh, our employer is making us work in these areas. So, um, but it was a
Yeah.
nice compliment that we got. And again, I think we can start talking about how do you build trust. Well, there's various types of trust. There's the trust that you build yourself. There's transferable trust. That means, like, hey, if you trust me already, and I tell you Matt's a great guy and he's going to do a great job, you already
Mhm.
have a level of trust with Matt when you meet him,
Right.
right?
Right.
But Matt still has to prove his worthiness.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, how do we build trust, Matt? Is this something that you do often?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Look, first thing, when it comes to trust, it's communication. It is when someone has a problem, and this kind of throws back. This I used to be a restaurant manager for a long time, and one of my primary tasks as a manager was to approach the table when there was a complaint. Well, how do you handle that complaint? And one of the things I do is you want to ensure that the individual you're speaking with, in this case for you, an employee, that they understand that you're listening to them. So that's all being present. Hey, I know you're busy, but if somebody comes to you with a complaint, you need to put everything aside and focus on them. Make that contact, bring out a notepad, take notes, and walk out with them. If it's something visual that you can actually directly see at that moment, walk out with them. Establish that you are taking it seriously. That's the first thing. And then after that, look, all that is meaningless unless you actually work to address it. Now, sometimes it's a bigger issue and it's not going to be fixed right away, or it's such a level of a issue that, you know what, we're not going to have the money to actually address this satisfactorily until the next fiscal year. And that's just the way it is. But if you keep your employees in the loop and let them know that you're aware of it and that it is on your list to take handle, this is the schedule, this is the plan for this, then you also establish that trust that you are taking care of it. You're not ignoring it, that it's there and present in your mind. So that's a big part of it. And then, yes, once you do get if you give your word on something, follow through on that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely critical. Absolutely critical.
It's
Don't blow.
critical
Yeah. Don't blow smoke. Don't blow smoke.
until you're
If you
done
give your
smoking
word.
your cigar
Yeah.
and you're celebrating. Then you can blow all the smoke you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. It's if your word is important. That goes for everything in life. So
what's
take
that
that
famous
seriously.
quote? Your name is like fine wine and oil, most valuable thing in the world. And it's true.
I
I'll have
Yeah.
to look it up
Yeah.
now, but uh,
Yeah. No.
but it's so true. It's so true. If you don't keep your word, I think this is part of the problem in the workplace altogether. It's very simple to be successful. Up on time.
Mhm.
Keep your word. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
That's it. If you can't do those first two things, then you have a really tough time. But yeah, keep your word. Transparency, Matt. You mentioned communication. Transparency in the communication is ultimately
Yes.
very, very important. So don't lie. Like, if you've been listening to the news at all, you're listening to these Senate hearings. It's just like, real, what? You're not even answering the question. Just be
Mhm.
upfront, be transparent. know exactly what's
Yeah.
going on. Sometimes things are out of your hands. It's not, again, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Make sure that those things are taken care of, right? We talk about that all the time, fault versus responsibility. It may not be your fault. It may not be your fault that the budget didn't even consider this because no one knew, right? Or it's a new hazard. But it is your responsibility to address it. It's your
Yes.
responsibility as a risk manager to make sure that you're transparent in the actions that you're taking. Follow up with people, you know,
Yeah.
follow up, tell them what's going on, take the time. That's
Hmm.
part of the job. And so you got to do that. You got to make things happen. So build the trust little by little, keep your word each and every time, take action on those things, communicate transparently, communicate. And I think, funny, Matt, out of all the books I've read, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them on business and
Hmm.
success. And I mean, you can take this whole trust piece and put it right into your personal relationships and
Oh
marriage,
yeah.
significant others.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you don't keep your word, if you're not transparent about what you're doing, people lose trust. And it's a hard thing to put your finger on. And you have to also realize that, hey, maybe somebody came from another agency and they went through this all before, right?
Hmm.
And now they're like,
Hmm.
same old story, same old story. And it
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
same old story.
Yeah. And trust is hard to build and easy to lose.
Easy to lose.
It's very easy to lose that after all the hard work. You can put years of confidence in you away with one terrible mistake.
Oh, yeah. Look at it. I mean, look at how many 20-year marriages are dissolved with a one night stand. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, boom, gone.
Hmm.
Never again. Never again. And
Yeah.
so, it may not be to that level in this, but once you lose that trust with the employees, all the talking and squawking goes on, and it's
Yeah.
really hard to get it back. You basically have to leave. But then everybody, with your agency directors at the higher levels, they all talk. Oh, don't that guy, don't hire that guy.
Right.
He's
Right.
terrible. Nothing gets done. All right.
Right.
Well, on to the good stuff. Hey, SB 906 for your school districts 6 through 12. That's going to be hitting really soon. As soon as you come back, you need to get your folks trained. We do have training in that. So that's there. You can check it out on Udemy. We have it on our Dollar Training Club as well. And also remember, Matt and I are giving 20% off for new clients. So if you're a new client
Right.
and you see this, just let us know that you want your 20% off, and whatever that first service is, we'll get off of that. That's big savings. Don't forget to check
Yep.
us out on the Risk Control Show here on YouTube. We've been trying to up our game on the social media accounts as well. So if you got questions or concerns, please send them on over. We'd be happy to discuss them here. We may even invite you on the show. That would be cool. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right. See you all on the next one.
See.